Hey everybody, welcome back. My name is Abby with Fitness is Medicine, and today I'm going to show you a complete body weight workout that you can do in your home. So give yourself some time to warm up before you start these videos. If you haven't warmed up yet, go ahead and press pause and go get a quick warm up in 5 to 10 minutes, moving your body, getting your heart rate up, getting your muscles warmed and ready for exercise. Okay, we don't need any equipment. You just need a small space in a room. You know, you can do it on a carpet or hardwood floor or anything that you have. You might want a mat or something if you do only have hard floor, because there's a couple things we're going to do on your back that might just feel better with a mat. So with that, I'm going to get started with burpees. I'm going to show you how to break it down. We're going to start at a level and then build on that. So I'm going to go through each one of these one time, but in the time going through it, I'm going to show you different levels. So one way to do a modified burpee is a walkout, which I do in my gym with my clients quite a bit. So all you do is start nice and tall. We're going to bend our knees, put our hands on the floor, walk out to a plank, and then walk back up. So I bent my knees, I walked out to a plank, I came back up. If that feels like too much and getting down on the floor is really hard for you, use a bench or a chair. You can push up against a wall, a sturdy chair like a kitchen chair or your coffee table. And what you do is stand next to the bench, put your hands down, walk your feet back to a plank, walk back up, stand up. So if that feels like a challenge to you, start there. Remember, lean down, put your feet back, come back up, and then stand up. And that standing back up is actually really important. Stand fully back up, push your hips forward, and then go back into it. Okay, so I'm going to take you through 10 of these walkouts. All the way out, and then all the way back up. Remember, stand all the way up tall in between. Pushing those hips forward, pulling those shoulders back, and going back down. If you're doing another version, that's okay, keep going. I'm going to give you another alternative here. That's your walkout, and I'm bending my knees. Another way you can do it is with straight legs and walk out. This is definitely harder on low backs. You don't have to do it this way, but it gets your hamstrings a little more. I prefer the one where you bend your knees and you get down low and you walk out. It's much easier on your hips and your knees and your back, especially your back. Another way you can do it, if you're feeling like you want a little bit more of a challenge, walk forward. I'm going to make sure you can see me here. Keep going on any method that you're doing. But one way you can do it is lean down, put your hands down, and step your feet back like this. Come back up, and then stand up. Press your hands down, step your feet back, feet forward, and up. Another way to build on that is to put your hands down, and you can jump your feet back, and jump your feet forward, and then stand. Hands down, jump, jump, and then stand. So remember, you can walk it out, and then stand back up. Or you can put your hands down, slowly step your feet back, and then stand up. So give them each a try, see which one is a good challenge but pain-free for you, and do at least 10 of them. It's a really great full body workout to get a lot of different muscles working in your body. Okay, next we're going to do standing kicks. So once you've recovered from those walkouts or those burpees, anything, we're going to do some kicks. So just stand and kick. So this is going to require a little bit of balance. You're going to lift that knee up, kick your leg out. If this feels really challenging to you, then let's sit in a chair and do it. So you can sit on the edge of a chair, and you can support your back and support everything by hanging on. Kick your foot out. Kick. And make it a little bit of a controlled motion. So you want to pick your knee up, kick. Pick your knee giddy up, kick. If you're able to do these standing with good balance and in a controlled motion, controlled fashion, add a little bit of a squat. So this is a way to get more muscles into it and more of a full body workout. So squat, kick, squat, kick. When you squat, remember to sit back. You want to sit your hips back and keep your ankles, keep your knees over your ankles. So you put your weight in your heels. If this is too much and you're losing your balance and you're kind of all over the place, you can make that squat a little bit smaller. Or if the squats really hurt your knees. Try to do this. You can do it next to your kitchen counter or somewhere where you can hang on if you do lose your balance, but try to do it without hanging on, as this is a really good balance challenge. When I do a squat, I almost always put my hands forward as a counterbalance. Sometimes I talk about doing a squat hanging onto something, and that's the same thing, so that you can really sit back and have that counterbalance. Remember, if that's too much, start with a standing kick. If that's too much, start with a seated kick. Okay, next we're going to move to the ground, and we're going to do some bridges. So I'm going to have you lie down on your back, feet bent, knees bent, feet flat on the floor. You can put your hands down beside your hips. And I want you to think about flattening your back to the floor and then lift your hips to the ceiling. Hold it for a count of 5 and then lower back down. Remember, flatten that back to the floor first and then push your hips to the ceiling. You want a straight line from your knees to your shoulders. And release. Flatten your back. Press those hips. Now, you might not be feeling it yet, but this is a hamstring and a glute exercise. Working the posterior side of your body. If you're having any back pain with this, make sure you take that time to flatten your back. You kind of press, you squeeze those low abdominals, your TA, your transverse abdominis, where you cough. You can feel it, and then that's those muscles that you contract. But sometimes just thinking about flattening that back to the floor and then pressing up. We're going to do 10 of these. I think that was 5. If you feel like this is pretty easy, hold that bridge the entire time we're doing these. You can just hold it. So I'm going to hold it for a little while here. And the longer you hold it, the more you should feel it in your hamstrings. It's calling in more and more muscle fibers into hold that contraction for that sustained amount of time, this isometric contraction. The other thing you want to think about is pushing your heels. You're putting your heels here, not your toes. You want to push through your heels to push those hips up towards the ceiling. Remember to keep breathing. And remember, if this is too much, come down, flatten that back, press up. Now, if you've been going with the 5-second hold and going back up and forth, or back up and down, we're going to go to 10. If you just do the sustained hold, the isometric hold, then try to do it for 30 seconds or maybe even a minute, depending on, what challenge you need. The longer you hold it, the more muscle fibers you're going to call in and the more of a contraction you're going to get. So if you do get a hamstring cramp while you're doing these, because those muscles are firing a lot to hold you in this position, put one foot up like this and stretch those hamstrings. Or if they're both, but it's best to do, one at a time. You can really focus on that one leg. But if they're both cramping, by all means, straighten them and try to release that hamstring. Okay, next we are going to turn over and do mountain climbers. Body weight exercises are hard. And I have people say that in the gym all the time. You know, holding up our bodies is, you know, we don't need any resistance because we've got it all right here. There's a lot of ways to work on resistance with just our body weight. So a mountain climber is a plank moving your feet. So we're gonna get into a plank on your hands and toes, and you wanna make sure your hands are directly beneath your shoulder to protect that shoulder joint. So we're gonna come here in this plank and then bring your knee towards your nose. If this feels like a doable challenge, keep going. If this is too much for you, you can bring it up to the bench or a chair or a coffee table and do the same thing. So similarly, make sure your shoulders are over those hands and not way back here. So you want to make sure you're in a nice flat line, and you can bring your feet forward here on the coffee table or the chair or the bench, whatever you have that you're using at home. It's the same exercise, it just makes the levers a little bit shorter. So if you're still doing them on the floor, try to do about 10 each. And either way, if you're doing them on the chair or the bench, go ahead and try to do about 10 each. That sustained hold in that plank and then moving those legs really calls in your abs and your shoulders and your chest, your triceps. So there's a lot of different muscle groups working there. Okay, next we're gonna flip back over on the ground and do some penguin abs. So back on your back, press that back into the floor, put your hands beside your hips, and you wanna think about pulling those shoulder blades up off the ground, and then we're gonna reach your hands towards your feet. So we're gonna go side to side. We're working those obliques. So we're gonna work your rectus abdominis and your obliques and your transverse abdominis all at once, plus more. But working those obliques, working on those side abdominals is important. This is all of your core, from your hips to your shoulders. We wanna work all of this. So flat hands on the ground. The way to start this one is to just reach like this. You can put your head down in between, reach towards your foot. To make it a little more challenging, come up. You want to think about, remember, flatten that back into the ground, pull those shoulders up off the floor, and hold it while you go back and forth. So this is quite a bit more difficult. If you need to, you can come up, do one side, then the other, and then come down. Now, if you feel this in your neck, which many people do when we're doing crunches and abs and things, put your tongue on the roof of your mouth. And also think about a rope pulling you from your chest towards the ceiling. Instead of pulling with your neck, envision that rope pulling your chest up. So that helps get your shoulder blades up off the ground. Keep going, whichever level works for you. You can keep it down here and keep your shoulder blades on the ground. You can reach one side, rest, reach one side, rest. And then remember, you can pull up, reach one side, down. That's pretty difficult. Try to do 10 of those. If you're able to, come on up and do 10 this way. Okay, breathing through abs can be really hard, but you have to find a way to, if you breathe in for 2 and then out for 2, but remember to incorporate that breath so that you can continue giving oxygen to those working muscles. Okay, after you've done 10 of whichever level work for you, we're gonna stand up and we're gonna do one more balance exercise. Pull this camera up. We're gonna stand on one leg, grab a ball of some sort. It can be a golf ball or a tennis ball or any type of ball. You can even use a playground ball. What I want you to do is stand on one foot, single leg stance, and I want you to look at the ball in your hand, and I want you to track it all the way to your other hand, to the other side. So moving your head challenges this balance. So you're gonna start out, hands straight out to the side, ball in one hand. Look at that ball, bring it to the center. Switch hands, follow it all the way to the other side. It's really challenging. I'm losing my balance here, but I'm also trying to demonstrate this. So do 5 all the way on one foot, and the slower you do it, the harder it will be. So if I do this, it's really not hard at all. So I want you to do this slowly. So you're making your head turn all the way each time. Nice and slowly. If you're feeling like this is easy, slow it down even more. And as you're standing on that one side, keep this hip nice and supported. Don't let it relax out to the side like this. You're standing on this hip, keeping it nice and supported. So this is also a really great hip exercise. After you've done 5, switch feet, turn and look at that ball, slowly bring it to center, all the way back out to the other side. Now, as your arms are held up like this, they might be getting tired. Make sure you're not scrunching your shoulders like this. That's really hard on your neck. So you want to keep those shoulders down, keep them all shoulder height the whole way, nice and slow. Watch that ball, turn your head, and go as slowly as you can, challenging that balance. So do 5 on one foot, 5 on the other, and then go ahead and start over with those burpees or walkouts or burpees on the bench or chair, and go through those again. Remember, as I've said before, the second time through usually feels a little bit easier because you know what you're doing, your muscles are warmed up and ready for that exercise. The third time through, you're really super challenging those muscles because they're getting tired. So go ahead and do these through like a couple more times, and then remember to stretch at the end. All right, everybody, thank you. Have a great week, and keep sending in those suggestions. Talk to you soon. Bye.